The smoke hasn't even cleared in Shinkafi, yet the man everyone swore was finally done is still breathing, still talking, still moving. They told Nigerians he was trapped. They told us he was surrounded. They hinted, quietly, that this was the strike that would end it all. But today, Bello Turji is not silent. And that is why anger is spreading across the Northwest. We are sharing this update today, February 2, 2026, because something doesn't add up. What is being sold as a decisive military breakthrough is clashing violently with intelligence coming from the field. Yes, there was firepower. Yes, there was destruction. Yes, this was one of the most aggressive offensives ever launched in Zamfara. But the man at the center of it all, he slipped away again. Last week, the Nigerian Air Force, alongside ground forces under Operation Hadori Fancioma, launched a massive, coordinated assault on Turji's strongholds. Fighter jets struck deep into Fakai, an area long known as his operational backbone in Shinkafi LGA. This wasn't guesswork. These were precision strikes aimed at dismantling his command structure. Initial reports sounded like a breakthrough. Camps flattened. Supply routes cut. A school Turji had transformed into a weapons depot completely destroyed. Fighters neutralized. The kind of update Nigerians have waited years to hear. Then came the emotional blow. Multiple security sources confirmed that Turji's biological son was killed in the bombardment. That was supposed to break him. Intercepted communications allegedly captured Turji in a rare moment of chaos, calling fellow bandit leaders, requesting reinforcements, sounding desperate. For once, the so-called governor of the forest appeared shaken. Vulnerable. Human. For a brief moment, it felt like the war had turned a corner. But that moment didn't last. Because despite the airstrikes, despite the loss, despite the collapse of his base, Bello Turji escaped alive. And not in retreat, in transition. Fresh intelligence suggests he is already restructuring, opening new corridors, and allegedly building connections beyond Nigeria's borders, particularly toward Niger Republic. Even more troubling are reports pointing to movement toward north-central Nigeria, near strategic forest reserves that could offer cover, resources, and new recruitment grounds. This raises the question Nigerians are afraid to ask out loud. How does a man hunted by jets, drones, and elite troops keep disappearing into thin air? That's why frustration is boiling over. That's why people are using harsh words. Not because the pilots lack courage, they don't. Lives were lost on both sides. Assets were destroyed. Real damage was done. But in wars like this, destroying camps is not enough. If the head survives, the network regenerates. And on the most critical objective, neutralizing Bello Turji himself, the mission fell short. Now, the conversation has shifted. Some believe there is a conspiracy of silence, that certain interests benefit from Turji remaining alive. Others argue he is simply a master of guerrilla warfare, exploiting terrain, informants, and timing better than the state expects. So what do you think? Is this incompetence, compromise, or code strategy? Drop your honest thoughts, because pretending this question doesn't exist won't make it go away. Now here's where things get even more disturbing. While attention was fixed on Zamfara, intelligence reports dated January 30th suggest Turji-linked operatives carried out attacks far from the bombing zones, signaling that his network is not shrinking, but stretching. Days earlier, on January 28th, an audio message allegedly released by Turji surfaced online, where he boldly claimed to be holding a rival bandit leader captive. Think about that for a second. A man truly running for his life doesn't have time, or confidence, to release propaganda recordings. That audio tells us something chilling. He still has communication lines. He still has loyal fighters. He still believes he is in control. The military insists he is on the run, possibly hiding around remote forest corridors. But Nigerians have heard that phrase too many times. On the run is not the same as captured. It is not the same as neutralized. And a wounded leader, especially one who has lost a son, can become even more dangerous. The fear now is retaliation. Will Turji seek revenge? Will innocent villages pay the price for his loss? Will he try to reassert dominance with fresh violence just to prove he's still alive? Yes, the Air Force dealt him a heavy blow. There's no denying that. But for families who have buried loved ones, for communities that live in constant fear, anything short of his capture feels unfinished.
Even settled in Shinkafi.
Eyes are now fixed on the Kainji National Park axis.
The man they said
If Turji succeeds in establishing a foothold there, especially with links to Sahel-based extremists, Nigeria could be staring at a far more complex and dangerous phase of this conflict.
But
one thing is clear, this story is not over,
in the northwest right now,
and we will not stop asking the hard questions, because until the truth is faced head-on, the war will keep repeating itself, just in new locations, with new victims.
Bombardment in the
Stay alert.
Of the Zamfara